What is up, Chris?
What is up? What is up? This has been a long time coming for me. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I'm glad we were able to make this happen. And like when I got the late text last night, I was like, oh, wait. Like so. So I was like
Right.
negotiating. Like I'm like, if we couldn't, we couldn't. But I'm glad we can make it, and I'm very grateful that we get
Yes,
this opportunity tonight.
he has been absolutely wonderful dealing with, trying to get something scheduled. Utmost respect for him to be willing to do it in the first place. He does become our second Power Four head coach. Of course, the University of Washington was our first. Right. But we're here. We got us a guy. But first, we need to introduce somebody because we have a special guest co-host tonight that might know a thing or two about Hawkeye sports. So,
Mike, not
without further ado, let's kick off the video for our special guest interviewer, Brad. Add him to the stage, and there you go.
All right, you got me in. What's up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
Would you rather be on that view or the other view?
Can you see me in the other one now?
Yes.
Let's do the other one.
All right, let me switch you. There you go. How's that work?
Much better, gentlemen. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing
Very,
great,
very
doing
good.
great. So
we got
this
the
is a
technical
treat.
Stuff out of the way.
I've done
Heck
a
yeah.
couple shows. I've done a couple football shows with you, but never a baseball show. So this is a treat for me.
Heck yeah.
So welcome to the Golden Broom, Brad.
Thanks, man. I think this is maybe my second time ever. Maybe like
I
2
think
3
so.
But But
First
thanks
with
for
you.
having me, gentlemen. First with you, Terrible Terry, man. I'm
We've
excited,
been,
man.
We've been talking about this for a while. So.
Oh yeah. Hey, what better time than now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to do something a little different tonight. Generally, I have Terry introduce our guest for the night. I'm going to do it a little different tonight. Brad, can you do the honors and introduce our special guest interviewee tonight?
Yeah, you betcha, man. This is a huge honor for me, obviously, running the Hawkoholics podcast, man. This is exciting stuff, and then being involved in the baseball. So without further ado, it's my honor to bring on Coach Rick Heller from the Iowa Hawkeyes. Coach, welcome in, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, hey, you're doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off real quick.
Hey, this is awesome.
As we know, today has been a very heavy day in the world of college baseball. An absolute legend in the game, John Anderson, passed away earlier today. Thoughts and prayers with Jan and the family, everything going on there. Coach, I know you coached against him for a long time. Go ahead and offer your thoughts about this.
It's just devastating. I mean, as everyone sees, the legend John Anderson, the great baseball coach, leader of the Gophers for all those years. I mean, John's my friend and a mentor and a guy who I reached out to when I was young, and he reciprocated always with kindness and wisdom and help. And, I still, even after John retired, I still leaned on John, when I would have a question or something that was going on in the Big Ten or something that was going on with the NCAA, because John was much bigger than the Gophers baseball coach. John was a leader in the Big Ten for 40 years in the baseball world. And John was a leader in the ABCA and the NCAA in trying to get rules changed and things done that made our game better. I mean, John, to a fairly young guy getting his first Division I job in 2000, John was bigger than life, the record he had it at Minnesota, and all the great players that he had coached, and all the young men that he's influenced and touched, and his assistants, and being an upper Midwest guy, John was the man. John was the guy that we all looked up to, and losing John way too soon and way too young. I mean, this was a really rough few days for me personally, and condolences to all the Gopher family, especially his wife and daughter, and Ty McDevitt, current coach, and all these former assistants, Rob Fornseer, Lee Swenson, all those guys. I mean, I grew up. It's weird. We can maybe hit on this because this is something different, guys, about the game you don't see anymore. That as I enter my 40th year next year as a head college baseball coach, when I first started out in this game, we could go toe to toe, knock down, drag out, whatever it might be, and then we could go break bread afterwards and have fellowship. And I really miss that, because that you don't see that today. And a lot of guys, my first 20 years, 25 years, I mean, that was just the norm. We fought it out hard on the field, and then we'd go break bread afterwards, and go have a beer and maybe eat at somebody's house, or and then go at it again the next day, and then they do the same when they came to your place. And both John and I grew up in that era, and I feel fortunate that I can call John Anderson a good friend.
Words well received. You can hear the emotion in your voice. I know it's been a hard day. I certainly appreciate you coming in and doing this, despite what's going on today. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get started. Let you guys start throwing some questions out, but before they start asking questions, you did a pretty good job of it right there. But just tell the world, who is Coach Rick Heller, and how did you get to Iowa?
Man, I knew you'd ask something like that. And I guess what I come up with was, I'll give you the speed version, and then you guys can deviate to which part of that version you want to hit on or talk about, because my story is different than most, and there's a lot of side notes to most of the things that I have done that led me to Iowa, or to the University of Iowa. I'm from Eldon, Iowa, Cardinal of Eldon High School. Proud to be from Eldon, home of the American Gothic with the pitchfork. Grant Wood's famous picture. That's where I grew up, not very far from that. I went to Upper Iowa, played 3 sports there: football, basketball, and baseball. Coached high school baseball while I was still playing. You could get your coaching authorization. I coached with an Upper Iowa Hall of Famer named Pat Bowman at North Fayette High School. That's what got me started. I was Pat's assistant there. My junior and senior year in college, while I was still playing summer ball, we'd play a game. I'd jump my car, drive 30 miles, and get 2 at-bats, and do it all again the next day. And then when I graduated, tried to get signed, tried everything I could, man. Was going to every tryout I got invited to, this and that. And, long story short, it didn't work out, and tried to find a teaching job, sent 100 apps out before I got my first response. And it was in Bakersfield, Missouri, which is 5 miles from the Arkansas border between Mountain Home, Arkansas and West Plains, Missouri. And I coached basketball and baseball there for 1 year, caught a huge break in my life. Probably, without question, the biggest decision of my professional life came at a very young age. I was going to come work a basketball camp at Upper Iowa, and I was calling my coach, Bill Prohaska, and I got the wrong number, and I got the AD, Mike McCready. And Mike said that they were going to be maybe looking for a baseball coach, that Coach Pro was going to just do one sport. And back then, even in Division III level, a lot of guys coached more than one sport. And he said, would you be interested? And I said, for sure I would be. He goes, well, 75% of it's the residence hall, and then 25% is going to be baseball, and it isn't going to pay anything, and you got to live in the dorm. And long story short, everybody in my circle said, do not take that job. But in my gut, I knew that it would probably be my only chance with my background to get into college coaching. And I knew in my gut also that we could win. I just felt like I knew we could win if we did things a different way. And so long story short, I got that job at 23 years old. I was the youngest head college coach in the country. And it wasn't because I was anything special. It was because I don't think anybody else wanted it. And so went from there. After a couple of rough years, we started winning, and then we won championships and went to World Series in '96, and ended up in a similar situation at the University of Northern Iowa, who was in the Missouri Valley Conference when it was really rocking and rolling. It was loaded back then, and UNI was underfunded, undersupported, had to play at the old minor league field, which was 8 miles from campus, and a bunch of negatives, and not a lot of money to give in scholarships. And same story, I sat in that Unidome parking lot and beat my head on the steering wheel and said, do I take this or not? And I wanted to coach at the highest level. And again, a Division III guy, and you guys probably are aware of this, but man, once you get pigeonholed into a certain level, it's tough to get out sometimes. You get classified as a JUCO guy or D2 guy or D3 guy. And I'd been 12 years at Upper Iowa, and I felt like, man, if I don't take this, I'm probably not going to get that opportunity again. And so thank God I made that decision to say yes, and took the job at the University of Northern Iowa. And it was a 10-year run there, and had some special teams, won a championship. And then they dropped baseball, which was really, really hard on everyone, but especially me, because I felt like we had done everything we could to be a team player. We virtually raised every penny of the budget, and we're doing concerts and setting up stages and parking cars and doing everything we could to raise the money. And then they dropped it. And it was kind of the cold, hard facts of life for me that, maybe they didn't care as much as we thought they would if we worked hard and did good things. And anyway, so after that, I ended up catching probably the break, the second biggest break other than taking that job at Upper Iowa was I was offered the head coach at Indiana State University in August, and I was going to Creighton. Ed Service and I are good friends at Creighton, or Ed's just retired 1 year out, but Ed said he would help me out, keep me in the game. I'd be his volunteer until something happened, and was in a U-Haul in July heading to Creighton, and Lindsey Meggs was the coach at Indiana State. And Lindsey called and said, I just got the job at Washington, Terry, and would you like to come out and maybe be my assistant? And I said, man, that's great news, Lindsey. I said, I sure would, but I'd really like to be the head coach at Indiana State. Can you put a word in for me? And because of some, backstory of how I recruited at Upper Iowa, I'd rent a car in San Diego, and I'd hit every JUCO all the way to Yuba City, Lawson, Santa Rosa. And I'd be out there for a long time and just beating the bushes for JUCO players in California that was loaded with talent. And next thing you know, we're getting guys, to the university or to Upper Iowa, and we're winning championships. But back then, a lot of guys that ended up making it big in Division I were JUCO coaches. And I met a lot of those guys, and a lot of those guys went to bat for me with a guy named Ron Prettyman, who was the AD at Indiana State. Ron was a California guy, and got me in the door. And lo and behold, Ron hired me and had a wonderful 4 years in Terre Haute, and four really good seasons. One great season where we won the first outright Missouri Valley Championship in school history. Had some guys that are still pitching in the big leagues right now. Sean Manai, Colin Ray, some really good players. And right when you're sitting there thinking, man, this is awesome, best job I could ever have, and the Iowa job opened up, and Gary Barta, our athletic director at the time, Gary hired me to come home and be close to family and back in the state where I grew up a Hawkeye fan. And it's kind of funny though, because Brad, you maybe you guys appreciate this. So when you're at Northern Iowa, I mean, we played the Hawkeyes home and away, right, every year. And back then, Iowa State was still playing the first 2 years, and so recruiting was rough. Three Division I's in the state at the time, and then it went to 2. But you kind of grew to hate them, because they were the ones that had all the support, they had all the money, and Coach Banks, and legendary Coach Banks, and so Marty Sutherland is a longtime assistant. He played for me, was on our championship team at UNI in 2001, and then he coached with me for I think 7 years at UNI, and then he's been with me all. This will be our 14th, I guess, this year, so all 13 full seasons. When Marty and I went to put our uniform on the first time, we both had our pants pulled halfway up, and we looked at each other and went, whoa, because we'd been Panthers for all those years, and it was it's kind of surreal, pulling on the Hawkeye jersey after the battles we had both recruiting and and on the field. But that took me to Iowa, and super proud to be the coach of the Hawks. And we've had what I would consider a really impressive run. We took over a situation where, I'm talking off my head, but I think I'm pretty close. I think it was like three winning seasons in the last 17 or 20 years, and 3 conference tournaments in those same period of time. And, we have had 30-win seasons every year other than the 2 COVID years, and had, unfortunately for us, I think we might have had our best team the year we got shut down with COVID. We were 10-5, and we'd beaten Arizona, North Carolina. Who else, man? Duke
was up there for that one too.
Yeah, and I mean anyway, I didn't feel like we were even playing great yet, and had the pitching that year, the depth, and just a total all-around package. But then the next year we played Big Ten only, and we won 28 games in a Big Ten only schedule, 44 games, and got kept out of a regional because they said we didn't play anybody else. And I'm like, that's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard, because we didn't play midweek games. We're playing all Big Ten games and played the toughest schedule probably in the country. And, it just goes to show, they'll keep you out however they want to keep you out. And we've been kept out a lot, but take those two out, and we've had 30-win seasons every single year, and been to the conference tournament every year they've had it, and been to 3 regionals, and probably should have been to 4 more if things were on the up and up, but they're not. But that's the way it goes. But it's been a great run. But we're in a completely new world, new era now, and as the head coach of the Hawks, it's been my responsibility to try to keep us relevant, and try to find a way, and try to find a niche, and try to figure out a way that we can survive, and not only survive but thrive, and keep winning games, and try to get to Omaha and win a national championship, which is what we all set out to do. So I'll let you guys kind of take some of that. And then one thing I forgot that might be relevant is after 2 years of the residence hall director, head baseball coach at Upper Iowa, I went into Mike McCready and I said, Mike, if you don't get me out of the dorms, I'm going back to high school. And he said, give me a week. And I said, okay. And in a week, he said, all right, here you go. It's going to be head baseball, assistant football. You're going to coach receivers. So the next 10 years, I was doing football and baseball.
So we all owe Mike a big thank you for getting that housing situation figured out.
Yes, sir.
You might not be sitting here right now.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have quit. I was just trying to play my cards hard.
It worked.
So we don't have any set order that we go in. We just start rambling off questions. You guys want to go first?
We'll let the Washington guy, let him have it.
So I'd like to start out with, recruiting. Now, you said Iowa has 3 Division I schools, obviously within the state.
Not anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
not
we're down to 1 now.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right. But what are some of the challenges, if any? Before I get started on that, I just want to say also I saw that you've surpassed the 1,100 win mark, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
Wish you many more wins and success as the years come. But in terms of recruiting, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you have to face in terms of bringing a guy in?
Well, I guess I'd start out by saying, I guess as I talk, I don't want any of this to come across as complaining because it's not. But a lot of people don't understand how the game really works and how baseball, for example, it's been a game of haves and have-nots forever, for probably 100 years, 50 years. And what I mean by that is we were always an equivalency sport, which meant that we had 11.7 scholarships in baseball to split up amongst whatever your roster was, and baseball's had a roster cap for quite a while. And I don't know if you guys realize, but we were the only sport in the NCAA that had a roster cap for all those years until we just changed that rule here recently and went away from the equivalency sports. And what they did now, they said, our roster cap is 35. So every sport can go up to a full ride scholarship all the way up to their roster cap if the school will give you the money to give those scholarships. So now we have a hodgepodge of schools that were kept at 11.7, those at 12, those at 13, those at 20, those at 25, those at 34. So you've got this wide range of support that each institution is giving to baseball. Well, back before this, with 11.7 scholarships, if your school, and when I say school, I mean the state side, the academic scholarships, the grants, the diversity scholarships, the hardship grants, the JUCO scholarships. If your school had a bunch of those, then that gave you an advantage at getting over that 11.7, right? So historically, the teams that you have seen on TV winning championships and in the World Series all the time had way more actual financial aid, or whatever you want to call it. I call it supplemental aid above the 11.7. Then you had some schools, I'll give you an example, like Iowa was a tough situation. When I got there, whenever you get to a school, you're looking for a niche, right? What's our niche going to be? Where are we going to be able to get above that 11.7? Can we get above the 11.7? How are we going to be able to get kids to come to Iowa that are really good players and play here? And at the University of Iowa, we're very good at academically in our state high schools, right? Very good. We're ranked very high. In my lifetime, we've been ranked 1 a lot of years. So what that says is the University of Iowa, Iowa State, UNI, they fill their residence halls up with really good students without having to give them crazy high academic scholarships. Perfect business model, correct? But it doesn't help baseball or track or softball or, all the sports that are equivalency sports and don't have full rides. So basically, when I got to Iowa, I said, if we can't get the best Iowa kids to stay and want to play here, we got no shot at turning it around. And you're looking back, I talked about what the wins were in the previous 20 years. We'd had 3 coaches fired in that time. Well, it was very apparent to me when I got there, it wasn't all those coaches' fault. I mean, it was the situation, and it was the fact that the school didn't have a lot of supplemental aid to get them above the 11.7, which made it really difficult when you're fighting somebody that's maybe got, 25 or 26 scholarships with their supplemental aid, and you're sitting there at a true 11.7. You're always going to come out, if it's a money situation, you're going to come out short. So what we went to work in trying to instill pride in all the best players, the young players, got them to camps, and just sold them on being a Hawkeye and staying here and helping us beat those guys in the South and not leaving the state. And then showing them that, we had a spreadsheet of the 20 years of kids who left the state, and the success rate was about 8%, and most of those other guys would kick back. There's no portal back then, so you got to set out a year. So you're going to JUCO or NAIA or whatever, and then it was up to us to go to work, and there's a lot of Hawkeyes, but we needed to do something to make the baseball Hawkeyes want to come and play at Iowa. So one, we needed to improve our facilities. And I went out and started raising money right away and really haven't stopped for a second since I got the job, tried to improve our facilities. We were able to get turf on the infield was the first year. The second year, we finished the turf, brand new scoreboard, cleaned up kind of what you see now. And then basically I've been cleaning up stuff every year since then. And then we also had a 30-win season the first year with a team that I was told, we needed to cut everybody and replace them. And I did just the opposite. I told them I was going to love and care for every single one of those guys like I recruited them. And I was going to ask them to maybe take a look at doing things a little bit differently and buy into a process program and go to work on getting better every single day and build on leadership and take it off the field, as well. And that was a big issue when I got there, was like the culture of what was going on, in the 20 hours when I wasn't with them wasn't good. And we needed to change that. And I just simply asked them to be a part of the solution. And lucky for me, we inherited some really good kids and some kids that were just starving for that. And they all jumped on board and bought in. And by Christmas, I felt like, man, I think we can be okay. And then once we started playing, the best thing happened for a new coach was that to get buy-in, it's great up until you start playing games. And then if you're getting your butt kicked, then the buy-in can wane quickly. Well, we got off to a really good start and beat some good teams on the road early. And then the buy-in just kept rolling and took it to a first-year, tournament. We won a game in the tournament, lost a couple close games. And I told Coach Sutherland, my assistant, I said, we'll find out a lot about next year on the bus ride home, because we had a whole bunch of juniors that were going to be returning. And I didn't hear a word till we hit Des Moines. And I'm like, we're going to be really good next year, because they were as mad as we were, because they felt like we could have won the games that year. And then the very next year with the same guys and, a few recruits that we were able to bring in, we beat Oregon twice and played Missouri State to go to Super Regional, won 42 games. And that really set the tone. So I felt like after those first 2 years, we had did what we needed to do for those kids to say, you know what, I want to be a Hawkeye. And then we just went to work on recruiting and selling as much as we could, the Hawkeye pride. And then we haven't touched on it, and we can touch on it for the whole time, is that like we have always been at the cutting edge on the player development side. And I learned real quick at Upper Iowa, if we couldn't figure out ways to beat people who had more raw talent than us, then we were in big trouble. And you had to develop players on and off the field better than they did. You had to have a better culture than they did. You had to play harder than they did. You had to find kids that really, really bought into a team concept and not just lip service team concept, like really, really care for your teammates more than you care for yourself and your own agendas, and just started building that system of how you go about winning at tough places. And then by the time I got to Iowa, I was pretty experienced and had been through a lot of battles and felt like our system was really good. And we just kept rolling with that and developing the best. I felt like we were way ahead of the major leagues and a lot of the pitching stuff, which is why they stole, my guys were Desi Drussel's in the big leagues with the Yankees and Robin Lund's in the big leagues with the Tigers. And I mean, we were way ahead of a lot of people with our player development. And, you can say it's, everybody wants the black and white, the analytics and the non-analytics. And it's not that. It's taking everything that you can gather anywhere and helping yourself get better and improve your team and improve your players. And we've just done a great job of that at Iowa. And we've had to overcome it, but that's how we did it. We got Iowa kids to want to stay. Did we get them all? No, we didn't get them all. We found out if we weren't in early and we didn't have a chance to kind of paint the picture of what we had as a vision for the success at Iowa. If we were late to the party, late bloomer, and Southern school got in and we had not had that opportunity, we didn't get any one of those kids. We lost every one of them because by that time they weren't listening. They were just seeing the shiny and the name on the jersey, and so we had to be the best at finding those kids. Well, now we've flipped the script, and it's 34 full ride for some. Whatever you have, we don't have the support that a lot of the schools do, and we were basically getting kids to come to Iowa for 10 or 15,000 more dollars for the right reasons, for the reasons that we talked about, for the culture, for the program, for the development, for a program that was truly a family process driven program. And then all of a sudden that number of 10 to 15 turned into 60, 100, with NIL and now rev share and all this. And so really we're just kind of sorting through how in the world we're going to compete when, they can come in and offer the Iowa kid now. We had guys that get offered in the 27 class, got offered $100,000, full ride plus $100,000. I mean, I'm not going to be able to beat that. And there aren't many kids that are going to turn that down, even if it is the right reason. But it's kind of crazy. It's almost, this is wild. So the last couple years, where our kind of niche has drifted? The kids that went out of state and realized that even if they made a lot of money and had a full ride, that if somebody doesn't care about me and they don't develop me and they just roll the ball out and the best players play and I'm not getting better, no amount of money means anything. And so we have been getting tons of kickbacks of the guys who left that come back in with 7, 8 every year since that started happening, of the kids who left, found out that maybe the grass wasn't greener, knew they should have came to Iowa for the right reasons, and then now we're asking, can we come back? And we're getting a lot of kids like that in our program as well. And then we seem to always get the majority of the kids that we want. I mean, we do our research and we know what kind of kids we're looking for, not just from a talent standpoint, but we know the makeup and how the fit has to work here. We get them all to come and take a look, but like we talked about, I mean, you're not going to beat, the kind of money that's being thrown around if you don't have it to fight with. So that's kind of the answer to that, Terry. It's just been a complete 180 really in about 3 years here, from the way it used to be to the way it is now. And it's ever changing. And I guess the challenge for a guy like me who's done it going into 40 full seasons as a head coach is to not fall victim. Don't be the victim. Don't be the old guy that's all he does is bitch and moan and don't try to find a solution. So what we have done is, like, we ask our players in baseball to the best of the best control what they can control, right? That's all you can do. The next pitch is all you can control. And for me to not do that along with them on the recruiting trail, fundraising, whatever it might be, I got to do whatever I got to do to help the Hawkeyes win. If that means I raise money 24/7, then I raise money 24/7. I got to do whatever I got to do. And that's kind of the approach I've taken. Do I like it all the time? No, I don't. I hate it. But I'm going to do whatever I got to do to give our team a chance to win.
So
and I just talked to real quick. Sorry, Chris, because you mentioned 34, and then I was also told another number earlier called 9, and that was from Coach Kevin Brooks out of Angelo State. I actually talked to him a few minutes before the show started, and he says, like, yeah, like with the number increasing for Division I, he's like, they're starting to feel the effects from that too. Because I guess their numbers stayed the same over for Division II at 9 as far as scholarships. So you tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that would have leveled the playing field a little bit, and that most, I'd say 75% of the coaches were really excited for, was when they went to the roster cap at 34. All of the coaches in the Big Ten, all the coaches in the North, they wanted a roster cap in the fall. And what happens is, over the years, there's guys who over recruit. So they'll bring in 50 guys, 60 guys, some guys even more than that. Well, what they're doing is twofold. One, recruiting's easy if you really don't have to pick. Like, if you three are shortstops, I got to pick one of you. It's way easier if I can take all three of you and then cut two of you at the semester, which is what a lot of guys were doing. You see what I'm saying? And so we had it right here. And then the judge, her big hang up was she was worried about the kids with the roster cap that were getting kicked out of those programs. And so she said, we had to DSI or whatever that they call it, that all those kids had to be tagged that were pushed out of the program. And then the tag players could be above the 34 and they don't count against your roster. So it's kind of like the COVID year. So we got 3 more years after this one of dealing with that before we get to a more of a level playing field where, a certain school that has no limitations on their roster after the 34, if they can get tag players. And a lot of guys kind of cheated. They tagged all their players, so they had nobody that wasn't tagged. Well, that means they can have as many guys as they want after the 34. And so you got schools now who are sitting there with 34, 36, 38 maybe. And then you got guys still have 50, 55. Well, what they're doing is they're taking guys off the board. That's what they're doing. They're taking them off the board. And and when you take enough guys off the board, the trickle down, to your point, like if we would have been able to have a roster cap at 38 in the fall, the trickle down and the quality of baseball all the way down to the Division III level, the D2, NAI, it would have improved everywhere. It would have helped baseball a great deal and the good of the game. And that's what a lot of us have been fighting for years, is a roster cap in the fall, because one, it's cruel to those kids. I mean, can you imagine, and kids get cut right before they come to school, a month before school, and then they cut however many guys at the semester. Well, in the old days, it was even worse because you didn't have a transfer portal. Now, at least those kids, they're going to miss that season, but they can go to a Division I if they want to the next year. But anyway, once that gets cleaned up, and it's not going to happen, for a few years, that'll really help spread out the game. Because I said for years, the guys that have all the money, like 34 full, tons of NIL, $1 million rev share, 700,000 rev share, they can outbid each other for the best guys. But if they can't take all the guys, there's enough good players out there that will be able to compete and beat some of those teams, because just because you have the best players doesn't mean you have the best team, right? But the way it is now, the amount of talent some of those teams have been able to accumulate and to keep kids from signing pro, which is another completely different topic that's happening. I mean, the amount of position players that are in Division I baseball that would have been in pro baseball 5 years ago, it's staggering, the amount of guys that are getting more to play college than signing bonus to play. Why wouldn't you take 2 signing bonus? You'd be an idiot not to. But the amount of talent, it's got to a point where it's really difficult to outculture them. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they're so talented. They can run 8 guys against your left-hander. They can run 8 guys against your right-hander. I mean, they got all these guys on the bench and all this depth and all this talent, and then the best arms. And it's more challenging now than it's ever been. But we're hanging in there, and I feel good about the things we've been able to do and how we're trying to figure things out. But that's just kind of the lay of the land and how it works. And it's never been a level playing field, but it's never been more unlevel than it is right now.
Right.
even within conferences.
And you mentioned players getting cut by other schools. I think Brad has a question about that, about a specific player. I don't know if you can talk about names and specific players. Go ahead, Brad.
I know you. So you touched on it already, and when we were talking about the recruiting, obviously, the local kids coming back after they see it's not so shiny. So obviously, had a situation obviously that just happened where someone did have their scholarship pulled. So, I mean, I got kind of two questions with that. One, how was the relationship with him? Because I know that went quickly, where it was kind of like news broke, they pulled it, and then he signed with Iowa. So I guess talk about how you guys stayed in contact with him. I know he signed with Ole Miss for 4 years prior to this.
Yeah.
So like he's been off the board for a while. And then piggybacking on what you say, do you think this also then goes and kind of helps you guys again with that recruiting thing of like, hey, don't fall for the shiny thing, because if somebody comes back, they're going to pull your scholarship, so to speak. So
Yeah.
Well, let me talk on that.
Well, no, Brad, that's a good question. To your point, there probably couldn't be a better example of that moving forward with other guys. But, you know, it's kind of lost its, I guess, fear factor of going somewhere and then getting cut, because they can always go somewhere else now. Whereas before, you know, they couldn't. They were kind of limited, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, if I'm going to get 50 grand a full ride to go to the SEC, why not give it a try? You know, because I can always call Rick if it don't work out, you know, and at least I gave it a shot, you know, and I mean, in human nature, you really can't necessarily blame a kid if he has that kind of money coming at him. In this case, it was different because the Harris kid, his dad, Scott, and I played against each other in summer leagues forever. My assistant Marty played against them forever. Marty gave lessons, I think, to both the Harris boys. So Scotty, his dad, even though, you know, his older son went to Ole Miss and was on their World Series championship team and played great in the series and down the stretch for them. And we were disappointed, obviously, that we didn't get him, and we were disappointed that we didn't get, you know, his brother. But we don't burn bridges. I mean, if any one of you told me, you know, hey, you know, I'm going here, I'm going to wish you luck and say, I wish you hadn't, and this is the reason. Maybe I think you're maybe making a bad decision, but it is your decision, and I respect that and keep it. I'm not a guy that's going to rub it in or scream at you or yell at you. You know, I'm going to wish you the best, and maybe if it don't work out, you will call me. And so both those doors had been left open to a degree. And the thing that made this work, and it was a bit of luck, was a lot of years we would not have been able to do anything because we might have been out of a roster spot. We happened to have the roster spot, and we happened to need another catcher. We had a catcher in the program that, for personal reasons, decided to get out of baseball and just go to school. And that left us a catcher short. So I don't know, maybe things are meant to be, whatever, but it couldn't have lined up any more perfect than it did to be able to, one, help out, and then also help ourselves and bring a quality young man, a quality catcher into the program. You know, everybody's, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to talk poorly about what happened with Ole Miss and what they did. They had their reasons, they had their rationale. I'm not in their shoes, and I'm not casting stones. It obviously, they took a beating, and it didn't look good publicly. And I don't know, you know, the ins and outs too much of that. I didn't even really ask about it. When they asked if we had interest, we just simply said, yeah, why don't you come over and let's talk? And we talked it out and was able to get him with us, and really happy that it worked out for him and us.
Yeah, 100%. That was a massive pickup, and then you followed it up by getting another one to come home from defending champs there in Miles Davis. So that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, for sure. And really excited about Miles. Was disappointed, obviously, when he decommitted and went to Florida to JUCO, and then from there on to Oklahoma. But I'm just excited to work with him. I'm an infield guy and a hitting guy, and Miles is a great hitter, and really feel like I can maybe help Miles out a lot on the defensive side. And he suffered a pretty bad injury in high school his senior year, and try to get him back to throwing the ball like he was back then, and just excited for that. But Miles is a ball of energy, and he's going to be a great fit for our program. I mean, he loves to play, and kids that love to play thrive in our program. I mean, that may sound crazy. I mean, sound like everybody, but I mean, it's just the way it is. And that's one of the reasons why it hurt so bad when Miles didn't come, is that I knew how much he loved to play baseball. And I just love having guys like that, because it rubs off on so many, it just rubs off on so many other kids.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you a really serious question right now. It sounds like you may or may not have been in this position before. So let's say your team loses a game 37-9. Your pitchers throw 370 pitches in 7 innings. They just can't get anybody out. They keep plunking people. It's the worst beating you've ever taken. You're on Highway 20. It's 1:30 in the morning, driving across rural Iowa, and you're ready just to hang them shoes up, hang up the uniform, and just quit coaching. Who's that one person in your phone that you're going to call to help get your mind back right where it needs to be and get you back in the game?
Well, Chris, thank goodness it's never really been that bad, so that's a good thing. But but we were 7-33 the first year in 1988 in Upper Iowa. That was pretty rough, and my best 2 players both got hurt on the spring trip on a team that wasn't real good to start with. So I was, but the guy that I would call is another legend, an Iowa legend from Cincinnati, Iowa, Centerville, Iowa. It would be Rick Matthews. And Rick's been a guy I have leaned on and has been a mentor of mine my entire career. And for you, I don't know if you, Terry or Brad, do you know him, Chris? Do you know who Rick Matthews is?
I remember the name.
Okay, well, I'll try to be quick with the explanation, but great story. Another guy who had to work his way up all the way. Started out high school, Eddyville High School, Marshalltown High School, Iowa Western Junior College, Indian Hills Junior College, minor leagues with the Royals, all the way up to assistant to the GM, and then was hired by the Rockies their first year that the Rockies were inception, first year of inception. He did such a good job in spring training. Don Baylor took him to the big leagues with him and was in the big leagues with the Rockies for several years. He was with both Baylor and Clint Hurdle. When both those guys got released, they kept Rick on in numerous jobs, director of pitching a lot of those years, high-level scout. And I think Rick's probably 70, 75 maybe now, and he's still on the payroll for the Colorado Rockies from a little dinky town in southeast Iowa. And I knew him because my uncle was a teacher at Eddyville when I was a little kid, and I hit in the cage with him when I was a little boy. And when I got that job at Upper Iowa, I knew I was way over my skis, and I think he did, but he didn't let me know that. He made me feel like the best, the best of the best, and he let me go to the convention with him and sleep on his floor, and I consider Rick the smartest baseball guy I know, and he would be the first call.
See, we love stories like that. Beyond that, you talk about you think you can help some hitters. So today's day and age in college baseball, the talking point is launch angle and pimping home runs and all of that nature. When it comes to offensive approach, do you prefer the launch angle method or a longer path in the zone? And are you okay with one of your guys pimping a home run, maybe tossing the bat? Is there a limit on what you want them to do?
Yes, to the last one. And to the first one, it's just way bigger than that in the hitting side. There's just so many different buckets with hitting. You know, you've got movement, you've got vision, you've got all kinds of crazy stuff we do with tests for impulse control and non-impulse control. I mean, we take it to the highest level with trying not to be tip givers, I guess is the best way to put it, and trying to close boxes and mental game skills and approach. But I guess to your question, ours is a team offense approach where putting the ball in play still matters. We play in the North, okay? And that means that some years the wind blows in the majority of the time. And we have to be able to score runs on days when the wind blows in. And we have to be able to score runs on days, when it's really cold. And we have to be able to beat the best pitchers on those days, which means that we have to teach every day team offense, moving runners, being the best we can at running the bases. We have to be good at the short game and bunting. But when you talk about launch angle, to me, I mean, again, it's not black and white. I mean, what we have now, in my opinion, we're doing the same. The best coaches are still trying to do the same thing. We just have way better resources to teach it. You know what I'm saying? Because if the launch angle is between 10 and 25, which is where every good hitter on the planet wants to be, you hit balls way harder, right? I mean, you're hitting balls, exit velos 100 plus. I mean, if you take your team and you test early and you test measurements for their movement, so you're not just telling some guy to do something that he's not capable of doing, you try to put them into their best situation for their bodies to move and swing the bat as fast and efficiently as possible. Try to eliminate a lot of slop or wasted movement. And just really try to build the engine as strong as you possibly can. All of those things that we have now, I mean, you can take a swing and you know what the launch angle is, you know what the exit velo is. To hit balls hard, what do you have to do? You have to swing at good pitches, right? I mean, you can have contests now in your cage. You can have exit velo contests. Well, you watch the pitch recognition get a lot better, because if they swing at crappy pitches, they're out of the cage. You swing at a bad pitch, you hit at 80 mile an hour, you're out, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff with all of that, all that information that's out there. And you're not just, I guess, launch angle. If you're talking like the guys that say it's just like all lift the ball and hit it out of the ballpark, we're working on launch angle, but we're trying to put guys on playing with the ball as long as we possibly can and generate as much bat speed early as we can so that they can drive the ball. But we also need to be able to hit off-speed pitches the other way and hit doubles in the gap. And that's what we focus on a lot, is like, if you look at most of the championship teams or the best offensive teams, they're going to lead the league in doubles. They're going to hit their share of home runs. But like on windy days, cold days, even your smaller guys, your non-home run hitters, it's our belief that it's our job as hitting coaches to get everybody to hit doubles in the gap, because doubles win games, and to try to hit a lot of doubles, high on base percentage, as much OPS as we can possibly generate with our weather. And that's what we do. We take each guy. I mean, do I have my own beliefs in what I would love to be able to do? And I learned this as a football coach, and I can go back to this. You'll hear a football guy randomly say, well, we're going to run the veer. And I'll be like, well, your quarterback runs like a 5.2 40. What the hell are we running the veer for? I'd like to Earl Weaver and hit 3-run homers all the time. That's way easier on me. But we have to take the talent we have and then try to orchestrate a team offense out of the talent we have each year. Like last year was one of the better team offenses that we've had since I've been at Iowa. We led the Big Ten in hitting last year. but I would tell you this, it was a little disappointing for both Marty Sellerland, who's our hitting coach, and myself, who's a hitting guy. I don't feel like we did not hit well or execute well against the best pitchers we faced last year, which cost us a regional. If you really want to sum it up, as small a ball as you can, we did not, when we played UCLA, when we played USC, when we played Alabama, when we played Oregon State, we had opportunities in a few of those games had we executed team offense better and like we did against the rest of the league, where we would have won a game here, won a game there. You win 3 of those games. Nebraska, we blew 2 games. That was not as much as offense as it was pitching that weekend, because our offense really did perform well against them. But if we win 1 against UCLA, 1 against USC, maybe Oregon State, which we lost 5-4 and blew a lead, we're probably in a regional. Just those 3 right there, and that's what keeps us going and motivated for this year. Even though statistically, you look at a big picture, it looked like we had a great year, and we did. But we needed to perform better against the better pitching, and we didn't do that for the first time, really. Normally, we do hit the best pitchers well, and that's what our system's designed to do, is to beat the best guys, not to beat the Tuesday guy, or the Sunday guy. If you're going to win championships, you got to beat the Friday guy, and we didn't do a great job of that this year for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe it wasn't buy-in with approach, or maybe our mental game stuff wasn't as good. Maybe guys did try to change. They weren't controlling what they could control. They made it a bigger deal than it was that day. But anyway, that's long-winded. But then to pimping it, I've seen it all, guys. I was coaching and playing when you didn't even have to pimp it. Like, if they didn't like the way you ran around the bases, they'd hit you the next time up, and if you were 3 for 3, I could name you 10 teams that we were playing in the early 2000s that next one coming in the ribs, and now let's see how you do. It was just such a different game back then. Nobody really did that stuff in college, because you knew you were going to get smoked the next time up. And then things changed over time, and now it seems like everybody does that stuff. And so it's been difficult for me, because I really have a firm belief that you have to respect the game, that baseball is really hard. And I got a firm belief that you should respect your teammate, or your opposition. You should never disrespect your opposition, and have beat a lot of teams, in my opinion, because we did not get caught up in the trash talk or the gibberish that we just worry about ourselves. I would never let our guys retaliate on the bench jockeying, the mouth, and just block them out and play. And I believe we've won way more games than we ever would have by allowing them to chirp back. But today it's a lot different, and you don't want to be a guy that comes across as the coach who don't want kids to have fun, because I certainly do want kids to have fun. And if a kid celebrates and it's honest and it's not pointed at the opposition, that's kind of where our limits are with that. But if I go down as the guy who thinks it's wrong that you showboat and disrespect the pitcher, or a pitcher disrespects the hitter after that pitcher just gave up a home run the inning before and walked 2 guys, and that hitter struck out the previous 2 times, and then wants to rub it in his face this time. I don't like that. That's not who I am. It's not what I try to promote. But I have had to, in the last few years, say, hey, that we don't do that, and apologize. I still will apologize to you if you're the manager of the other team, if somebody does. I get it. Kids can be knuckleheads, and we all have them from time to time. And I'll just say, hey, I'd say, Chris, I really apologize. He was a knucklehead. He's sorry. He didn't mean it. And then I like it when somebody says that to me too. But not many do that anymore. They just think it's part of the game. And I guess as long as I'm coaching it, it's not a part of the game that I have a lot of respect for.
Very nice. I know you touched on it. So last year, obviously, we had the struggles against some of those top pitchers and some of those top tier teams. This year, you're definitely going to have your chance at some redemption there. So talk to us a little bit, man. I think this might be one of the most loaded Iowa schedules across the board, even in conference play, I've ever seen. What was kind of the thought process behind that? As I know you've added we have LSU, former champion, on there, and then you got a bunch of early 8 class. So talk to us a little bit about that thought.
Well, scheduling in baseball is interesting because 2 of those tournaments were scheduled like 3 to 4 years ago. To get in the Globe Life, to get in the peak event tournament in Vegas, I've been waiting 5 years for that tournament. So when you make the schedule, you really don't know who's going to be in or who you're going to be playing, and unfortunately, you don't even know if it's a good year for you to be playing a schedule like that.
All right.
I guess the way I look at it is those tournaments that we're in early, they're as close to a regional setting as you can find in regular season baseball. And so getting into the good tournaments with good people that run them first class is not easy. So you have to schedule way out to get in those. And I would rather do that and put our guys in a situation where if we happen to get an at-large or we win the championship and we get into a regional, they've had that experience at least a couple times when we go to the first game of the tournament. And then on the other side, it's just inevitable, Brad, with UCLA last year when we caught them, I guess I would tell you guys this. In college baseball, there is such a fine line between winning and losing in every single game you play. It doesn't matter who you're playing. What matters most in college baseball is when you catch somebody. And the years that you really have great years, you catch guys at the right time. And unfortunately for us this year, we caught some guys at the wrong time. UCLA was absolutely playing lights out, when we played them. And they were the best team in the country. I would have told you then that in my entire career, and we beat LSU, 4 years ago when they won the national championship. Yep. We beat LSU in one of those tournaments down in Texas, and they were loaded. But that weekend when we played UCLA and watching them throughout the course of the season, that was the best team I've ever seen. All around, pitching, defense, hitting. You're talking about, you see all the guys that got drafted. Holy cow. You're looking at, minimum probably 6 big leaguers in that group. But the thing about them is Coach Savage, and I liken Coach Savage a lot to Coach Anderson, great guy, legend, but he runs not only winning baseball, but a great program. Their culture is outstanding. And their players hold each other accountable. And watching them hold each other accountable when they were playing us this year was really impressive. And so you're going to have a club like that. You catch them at the wrong time. We catch USC at the wrong time. They played outstanding against us. I've had years where we'd play those guys and they had 2 guys hurt and, had some pitchers scuffling or some hitters that were scuffling and opened up that door a little bit. If you played great, you could beat them that weekend. It just didn't happen for us last year. And to your point, Brad, interesting you bring it up, is I send letters out to – I have a returning player letter and I have a new player letter. And in the returning player letter, we talk about a lot of things, but I go over a lot of our goals in writing, like the things we had talked about last year, where we fell short, positives, where we came through, where we were outstanding, things we can do to get better. And what I said was – those games early when we didn't come through, and those games against UCLA, USC, and Nebraska that we had opportunities in, that kept us out of a regional. But this year, guess what? Look at this schedule. We got a chance to redeem ourselves. And one of the things that this year's team talked about a lot in the fall and off season was we got off to a slow start the year before, and that we were going to try to rectify that and get off to a good start. And it's not easy being a Northern team when you haven't played outside, but no excuses. We're going to get off to a good start, and that's going to set the tone for possibly a regional a regional team, and we did. We turned that around. I think we were 7-2 in February, early March. The problem was the two losses were Alabama and Kansas State, the two highest RPI teams on the schedule, and then Oregon. We were 6-3, 7-3, and yeah, we lost those three tough ones. And this year we're going to get an opportunity to hopefully flip that script and get some wins against some of the better RPI teams on the schedule.
So, talking about scheduling, and Terry, you get left out of this one because you get to play Iowa every year. Me and Brad we've known each other since about 2011, 2012ish. We just want to know, Coach, when are we going to get a February series in Nashville with Iowa and Vanderbilt on a weekend series for a 3-game set?
In February?
Yes, sir.
That would be never. That would be never. because the first 3 weeks, not because I would love to play Vanderbilt and Coach Corbin and have a lot of respect for their program. But if you think about it, it's cold everywhere potentially in those first 3 weeks of the season. So my goal is if I'm going to fly, travel, whatever, I'm going to go somewhere in hopes of being warm. So week 1 this year, we're going to go to where the Braves train down by between Punta Gorda and Sarasota. Pretty good chance it's going to be okay down there, and then Globe Life, it's got a cover on it. So I know we're going to be okay there. Then we're going to Vegas. Pretty good chance we're not going to get rained out there, and it's going to be pretty warm. So if we were ever going to play Vanderbilt, it would probably have to be midweek or bye week, when I know that we're not going to go and play in 30-degree weather when I could possibly be playing in 30-degree weather at home, But I'm sure as hell not going to travel that far and then play in cold weather.
That's fair enough. Maybe the best we can do is get Iowa in a Vanderbilt regional or something. That would work too.
That would be awesome, and I love Nashville, and I'm a country music guy, and have been to Tootsie's many times, and Robert's Western World's my favorite, and just sitting there and listening to music.
Yes, sir. Fun.
So one of the things I take note with the Iowa baseball program, you talked about facilities earlier and doing a little bit every year. This picture behind me, and what an impact that has as somebody that's trying to grow the game and make the game better, to see a school like Iowa do this, put the lights in and stripe the field and put the Hawkeye in center field. That stuff is amazing. Do you have any future plans to do anything else to the stadium than you've already done?
Well, right now, Chris, we're in a major renovation, and it'll be one of the last ones, probably in my time. The whole middle section of chairbacks has been tore down, and we're going to put in a much needed modern press box with all the amenities. If you can picture it, it'll be 15 feet higher than the top of the old press box, so it's going to have a presence. It's going to have cool logos. It's going to have spattering of gold and black seats in the chairbacks, and then we'll have the new pro netting where there's no poles that you have to look through, which will be great. And then the left field or the first base, third base bleachers, they're getting a little facelift. It'll all be black. It'll all look the same. Just a lot of little cleanup. And that'll be finished before the first home game. So this fall, we can practice, but we can't play games there. So we're gonna have to hit the road. And you guys, I don't know if you're aware, but they gave us 2 more games finally after 40 years of us trying to get 2 more games. But so we're up to 4 games now. And softball still plays 8, but we got up to 4, so that's
Baby
a good
step.
thing. Yeah. And this fall, well, I'm thinking about it because I might forget before we cut off here. We're going to play two of those games in Cedar Rapids at the Colonel's Stadium. And then we're going to Mizzou to play in September, return a trip. They came up and played us last year at home. So we're going down there. And then we're going to play, at the Field of Dreams. And Dan Fitzgerald from Kansas is a good friend of mine and was a JUCO coach in Iowa before he went down and worked with Dan Hefner at Dallas Baptist. And Dan worked for me his first assistant job at Northern Iowa. So good friends with all those guys. So I called Coach Fitzgerald and coming off the big year they had, I said, hey, what do you think about coming up and playing the Field of Dreams? And he's like, yeah, let me see what we can do. And check this out. So I'd been working with the Field of Dreams guys for a long time, and they were like, Rick, I think we got a pretty good weekend. It's October, I believe it's October 10th. And the Hawkeye football team, we're playing at Washington on Friday night, so we don't have a conflict on Saturday. And I thought, man, I think we can get a couple thousand people, right? I think it'll be a good crowd. We sold out 6,000 seats in less than 24 hours. I couldn't believe it. So that's going to be a great event. And right now they're working on trying to get the MLB bleachers in so we can sell some more and people don't get shut out. Because I went to the Iowa High School State Tournament was just played last week. And I walked in the ballpark the day after the tickets went on sale. And a guy grabbed me and he said, hey, I tried to buy my tickets this morning and they're already sold out. I thought he was joking me. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, but yes, stadium, source of pride. We needed a source of pride. And a lot of very generous donors and friends of the program, boosters, alumni. Thanks to them, we have what you see and really proud of it.
Well, that's kudos to you, Coach. I'm going to tell you what, that's kind of like an icing on the cake to what you've kind of built here. The fact that we're going to get almost potentially 8,000 to 9,000 people seeing a fall baseball game in Iowa tells you everything you need to know about what you built. So kudos to you and your staff, man. But that's exciting stuff. Is there any talk to potentially, I know this thing's picking up some steam and a lot of people want to see it. Is there talk to any TV eyes onto that, or is it just going to be?
I don't know. I mean, this all happened so fast, and I was pretty much all of us were out recruiting. All of the assistants were at the futures games, down in Atlanta, and I was covering the Iowa State tournament, and so we haven't even been together since it broke, and I need to get on a Zoom call with all the guys down at the Field of Dreams who've been so helpful in making this happen. They're great guys, and see what's going on, and then take it from there with what you were saying, because I had a couple other people ask me about some TV stuff too. It'll be tough on a football Saturday, but maybe Big Ten Plus would cover it, something like that.
Terry is the UCLA fan sitting over here just taking it all in. Ask some questions, Terry.
Well, I'm waiting. So, but yeah, I would definitely love to see a Field of Dreams game, even if it is on my team there. But I just want to go over this comment real quick, just, get out of the way. This is from Coach Jody Robinson, or former Coach Jody Robinson. He used to be at Cal State Bakersfield, and he remembers Coach Anderson. So they used to coach against the Minnesota teams in 88, 89, 90. Make a lot of changes in the Big Ten. Plus, he was able to play early season games at the Metrodome, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So that would have been a fun one to see.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yep. I mean, yeah, John was not only big, and that's one thing I didn't even hit on, was how big he was in the Minneapolis community and what he was able to do for baseball in general. Because when the Metrodome was there, John had a great relationship with the ownership of the Twins, and they worked hand in hand. And John had a really nice advantage where they literally practiced all their practices, and they played pretty much all their games up until they went outside in the Metrodome. They didn't have to travel hardly at all if they didn't want to. But the Metrodome was a safe haven for all of us. Like when I was Upper Iowa, we would go up. They would play games 24 hours a day. I started a game at midnight one time, a doubleheader. We started a doubleheader at midnight in the Metrodome when I was at Upper Iowa, and then you're driving back home at 5 a.m, no sleep, but we played 24/7, and it gave all the D3s, JUCOs, NEIAs, D2s. It gave us a place to play when we couldn't play outside, and back then you only got to travel maybe your spring trip with one trip for the small schools, So when the new stadium was built, John had to fight really, really hard to have baseball be a part of the Vikings' new stadium, because as you can imagine, the Vikings wanted nothing to do with any baseball being played in that stadium. And John took it all the way, to the governor, I think, to the state legislature, to have it written in the contract that baseball had to always be a part of that.
Awesome.
And I know I wrote numerous letters. John would say, "Hey, will you write a letter and send it to whoever?" And I'd write the letter to try to help all the guys that were going to get knocked out of playing. Now, did they get to play as much? No, not as much. And the Vikings are powerful, and they've played pretty hard ball, and they've made it kind of tough to get the games. They still do it, but it seems like it's a squabble and a battle every time. But John was very, very big in making that happen, not only for the Gophers, but for all the small schools in the Midwest that played there.
Listen, that was one of the most ugliest fields, though, man. I can just see it, man. If you want to talk about turf that looked like it was shag carpet, it was that field, man. That's all.
So some of the questions I want to ask, this is kind of like lighter side questions. I know with your, busy schedule and everything, I know there's times you got to make for yourself and your family. So, what are some of the things you try to do when you need a break mentally from baseball? Like whether it's hobbies or trips that you and the family might partake in. What are some of those?
Yeah. Well, I have two daughters out of the house. My daughter Tara lives in Kansas City, and I have two grandkids, a grandson, granddaughter. My granddaughter is a really good basketball player. Going to be a senior this year at Staley High School in North Kansas City, and she's gonna have a chance to play in college. So we try to get down and see her play as much as we can in the winter. And thank goodness for me, I get to stream all the games now. Even in high school, so I watch her play a lot. Our family does. And then my middle daughter, I have two grandsons in Tampa. Try to get down and visit them here coming up. We do a vacation each year in August when recruiting's pretty much done, before school starts, and we head down, and the whole family goes down, and we'll get a house and spend a week together, 5 days, 6 days together, and see the whole family down there. And both of the grandsons down there are going to be ball players. They love baseball, and they're like 6 and 4, so they're playing all the time. And then I have a daughter at home, Vivian, who is going to be a junior at City High in Iowa City, and she's a softball player and she wrestles. So we're going to games and doing that a lot of the time. If I'm not coaching or playing, I'm usually doing something either with Vivian or going to Vivian's game, or my wife and I, Rachel, are doing that. But then we have my wife loves to hunt. She grew up in a hunting family. Her dad had a gun in her hand when she was 5 years old. You heard a gun shoot twice. I'd probably shooting a snapping turtle out in the pond right now, something, because I don't know what they're shooting at out there. But anyway, so we have a little farm down in southeast Iowa that I'm at right now, and my brother retired. He was a John Deere worker from Ottumwa, he and his wife, and they retired down in Florida. And they're actually back, and they're staying at our cabin. So we were down here to see them today. And we get down here and just relax and go fishing and hunting and riding around. And it's good solace for me. And then I keep a guitar out 24/7 so that anytime I'm stressed out, I usually pick it up and strum on it a little bit. My birth dad, there's two dads in my family, Larry Heller, who raised me. My birth dad's name was Larry Whitmore, and Larry was a musician. And he played with Waylon Jennings in the 70s. And so any family reunion on both sides, they were playing music, and I rebelled against it until I was about 30, and I just got sick of sitting for hours listening to everybody else play. So I started learning how to play guitar at 30 and have really enjoyed that, and have been playing it ever since. And so, yeah, I like to pick it around a little bit, and those are pretty much the things I do.
I got to ask, what's your favorite song to play?
My favorite song to play? Well, I got a lot of favorite songs, but my go-to, like if you were putting me on the spot and I had my guitar, I'd probably play Good Hearted Woman by Waylon Jennings, or I'd just play Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash, because I'm not a great singer, and I have practiced enough that I can get through them, and you probably wouldn't think I was god awful anyway. All right.
So you seem like a very sociable person. So that brings me to this question. Myself and Brad and Terry are going to come to Iowa City. We're going to tour the Hawkeye facilities.
Yes.
We're going to spend the day with you.
Okay.
We got to know before we come up there our eating plans. Are you going to host us at your house, or are you going to take us out for supper? And what's on the menu?
What I would do is I would throw it out to you, and I would say, both my wife and I are pretty good cooks, and we would love to have you eat at the house. And depending on the time of year, if it was halfway warm, I would do good Iowa steaks as the primary, unless you ask for something else. And then my wife is part Italian, so her Italian stuff is off the charts. If you wanted to go that route in the winter, but I'd also say if you like, going out to new restaurants and those types of things, I would give you that option as well. We could do that as well. But I'm more of a do it at home, and then we could sit around on the porch and shoot the breeze and do Johnny Cash or whatever we wanted to do.
I'm down for the steak on the grill, right?
Medium rare, please, Coach.
Yep, exactly.
I'll let
My
Terry
wife-
pick the schedule on that. That's going to be his deal, is picking the schedule.
Yep.
Well, I mean, for me, it's always, if I'm gonna go see a Hawkeye game, I just don't want to obviously see any old game. So if there's one series or even midweek game that you would recommend us to see where there's extra motivation from the team, that they're just super pumped about it, whether it's, like I said, whether a 3-game series in conference or even out of conference against those Cyclone fellas. I'm not sure if that's the rivalry is deep there in baseball, but
They're gone.
They're gone. It's just Iowa.
They dropped
man.
them. They dropped them in 2002. Then they dropped you and I in 2009. So they're gone.
all right. Well, so I guess in conference then we're going for a 3-game series.
Well, I mean, I would tell you, if I'm doing my job well, it wouldn't matter to our team who we were playing, because we're trying to play them all the same. But I would tell you, our probably our biggest rival, without a doubt, is just Nebraska. So you would enjoy it because the fans get after each other as much as anything. But I think both Will's guys and my guys they're playing each game the best they can play each game, and trying to be as consistent as you can possibly be. But that would be a good series to see. And then being from Texas, I mean, the best one would be to go Globe Life. See us play some tough teams early and see where we're at, and kind of get a feel for us, go from there.
Okay. So I picked up on something you've talked about a couple times here. Iowa State not having a program. And you can feel free to talk a little smack right now if you want to, but why is now the perfect opportunity for Iowa State and Wisconsin to both start fielding baseball teams?
Well, I don't know if there's a right answer to that, because I think all of us know that with the rev share world that we're living in, nobody's probably going to start anything new as they're trying to pump as much money as they possibly can into football and basketball and trying to survive. But I guess I would say this, Chris, and this is what I've always said. If you're in the Big Ten or you're in the Big 12 and you don't have baseball, then you need to have an asterisk by your name, in my opinion.
Talk it, Coach.
I'm serious. I mean, it screws our schedule up so bad. I mean, we got 17 teams now in our league. If we ever went to a divisional model, which is probably way too much common sense to ever do, but we need another team to make it even. And it just makes sense. And plus, now think about this: their summer team averages 6,000-7,000 a game in Madison, and they already have a facility that would probably let them use it until they got their own. So, with that being said, it makes, to me, zero sense for a community that supports baseball like they do in the summer to not have baseball. Is just it's just, to me, it's just sad, and it's a shame to our game. And one thing that might happen, Chris, and I keep saying this, and I've been a part of a lot of work and a lot of time that I guess was wasted up to this point trying to fight to move the season back. And I'm hopeful that even a couple weeks would help. I mean, all of us up here would like to see 3 or 4 weeks, but if we could get even 2 weeks, the amount of money we would save having to travel, and then we'd be able to recoup on the back end 2 more weeks in warm weather or home, maybe that would prompt those schools to maybe start. Because as a northern school, starting a baseball program when you don't have one, knowing you have to travel the first 4 weeks before you can play at home, doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think all of us on here, logically, not when we play baseball in college is absolutely the most illogical, dumbest. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's idiotic what we're doing, and it's only for stupid reasons and selfish gain and all of those things that we hate about it. But yeah, I mean, just move it back a couple weeks, and then all of us become more viable in the North because we're not expending so much money to travel and play.
Yeah, I've seen.
I got the answer for
I've seen those
Wisconsin,
years.
though.
Yeah.
What's that?
I got the answer for Wisconsin. They could play the Brewers ballpark until like what Minnesota would do at the beginning.
I would say this. That would be fantastic, except I hate to, probably shouldn't say it, but I can't tell you how many times we've been scheduled to play at Miller Park against UW Milwaukee, and the grounds crew pulls the plug on us every time. So I'm guessing they have some grounds crew guys up there that don't want anybody getting in there that time of year and playing. Because I mean, we had even publicized it, had fans. I mean, the whole media, social media, and then they just called like a week later and said, "Nah, you're not playing. Sorry."
So they're gonna say no.
So you touched on the whole moving the season back a couple weeks. I've got a model in my head, and I don't know if it would work, and I want to bounce it off of you to see if you think it would work. Move the season back a couple weeks. Of course, we used to have a problem with the Major League Draft happening during super regionals. You're on the field playing, and you find out you've been drafted number 1. That model didn't work. Now there's a whole 4 to 6 weeks after the season is over before the Major League Draft.
Terrible.
I think move the season back a couple weeks. Now you're looking at late June, working into the 4th of July for the College World Series. Move the draft back up. Have it stabilized in one location at the Chuck, where college baseball players, it's my dream to get to the Chuck, but now we're going to hold the draft there after the World Series. So the World Series is over on Tuesday. First round of the draft is on Wednesday. Do you think that would work, and would it help grow the game?
Yeah, I agree. That's a plan that a lot of us have been throwing around for a long time, because for whatever reason, when they changed the draft to where it is now, that absolutely is brutal for college coaches. I mean, you guys think about it. I mean, the draft's fickle. You don't know. I mean, you know certain guys are going to go, but then there's always a handful of guys that are 50-50 guys. And what do? You give their money away, you replace them, now we got a roster cap. I mean, it's brutal. And quite frankly, everyone I know in baseball, short of Commissioner Manfred, wants to move it back somewhere, be it early June 2nd, whatever, before the tournament even starts. Or to your point, Chris, I think, if you want to make a bigger deal out of it, which I understand what Commissioner Manfred wants. He wants to grow the game, and he wants our draft to be as important or as popular as the NFL and the NBA. The problem with that is the baseball draft is so different than those drafts. It's the only major draft that don't draft the best players in order. It has all these money savers and all this stuff that a common fan, they got no idea what's going on. I mean, they're calling, I hate the draft because my phone's blowing up from all these random people. They're going, what in the hell's going on? Why did they take that guy? Why didn't they draft this guy? And it's like, well, it's this long-winded, they made this deal, and they're going to take him in the 34th pick. He's going to get the same money he would have gotten the 22nd pick, but they're going to take the 300th player in the 7th pick to make him, so they have the money to, people aren't never going to get that. They're never going to grasp that unless it's a true draft like the NBA or the NFL, where it's traditionally the best players that team deems as the player that's the best fit for what they need. And baseball doesn't do that. So consequently, it's confusing. And I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with him wanting it to be a big deal. And I think they've done a really good job of making it into an event, but it's not going to be like that. So let's make it as big an event as we can at the World Series, to your point, and then help all baseball people. I mean, think about it. I mean, by the time a kid has to decide whether he's signing or not, we're less than 3 weeks from school starting. I mean, who are you going to find to replace a guy if you didn't plan on losing him? I mean, there's so many uncontrollables in baseball to begin with, but that's one that I wish that the MLB would work with us and say, you know what we're doing to those guys, that's brutal. We're relying on their players primarily, and American-born major leaguers, probably close to 80% are Division I baseball players, college baseball players. So why wouldn't we team up and try to work together and make it a much, much better situation for everyone? Because I can tell you this, the scouts, the GMs, the agents, I mean, you think about it now, like a lot of those guys, they don't even play when they draft them. It's so late in the year, they don't have a place to send them. They just go and train. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless there's a lot of money savings with them not having to send players out. They lost the short season teams after COVID and they cut the draft back. But to me, let's help the college guys out a little bit. Give us at least 5 weeks, 6 weeks to try to find somebody to fill the hole that we lost when a kid signed that maybe shouldn't have.
See, and doing it that way, I think it also helps with the transfer portal, because now you got the College World Series final. Next day is the first round of the draft. You're going to know by the time that draft is over if you're going to stay where you're at or if you're going to hit the portal. I think it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
And it sounds like they're going to shorten the window for the portal next year quite a bit, which would fit what you're saying, Chris.
Nice.
So, got to ask you, when you're on the field, are you a seed guy, a gum guy, or nothing at all?
Well, this is how far things have changed. I chewed Copenhagen for 35 years. So, and I started coaching when you could actually carry Copenhagen in your back pocket and chew it during the game, and it was legal. So I had to quit. And so, you know what I do? I chew coffee packets.
Okay.
Never heard of that.
So that actually works with both of our sponsors. The reason I ask is one of our sponsors is Chinook Seeds. If you want the best seeds on the market that leave no bitter aftertaste, check out Chinook Seeds at chinookseedery.com. Use the promo code Golden Broom and get you 10% off. We've got every flavor. We've got every flavor you could think of. Cinnamon toast is my favorite.
Well, being a turf team, you know, you've seen the signs. They don't like the seeds. That means somebody's out there picking them up with their fingers. So, like our guys, we still chew seeds, but they all have their cups they chew them in.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Terry.
I mean, I'm all out of questions. The ones I usually ask are off air now, but I don't have nothing.
Okay, what do you got, Brad?
I've already asked most of mine, man. He was great. Coach, you've answered so many questions. You've been so I mean, just your storytelling.
My wife's
We love
going to come in here and yank me out like the Gong Show here pretty soon.
And mine's the same. Don't worry.
Okay. Just got a question in. Our good friend John Toth from Sports Bible up in Pittsburgh. He says, is it harder for cold weather schools to attract top level talent?
It can be. It isn't always. You know, because if a kid listens, like if I have a chance to truly meet with the kid and talk to him, in reality, our practice situation indoors is about as good as it gets. I mean, I'd show you guys our facilities. Like we have the enormous football building. We got 4 drop down cages, and it happens to sit 55 yards from the back gate of our stadium. And then our cages where all of our training cages are another, it's like a triangle, all within 55 to 70 yards. And so if it's in having turf, we can move snow. So we can practice just probably as well, if not anybody in the South, because a lot of those places don't have those places. And if it's cold or icy or rainy, they're in a pole shed somewhere doing something. I mean, our practice setup is solid. And that's been one of the reasons why we have been able to win early in my time at Iowa. That football building got finished my second year. And then the other thing is, remember where I told you we played. Where did we play? Florida, Texas, Vegas. Last year, Phoenix. I mean, we're going to warm weather to play early when a lot of those teams are playing in March weather in Iowa if they're trying to play at home in the Mid-South. So, I mean, and I've got plenty of guys that'll tell you, man, I froze to death in Dallas because, I mean, they're getting out early, but they have to get out early. So it's 30 degrees, 35 degrees, you know, ice storm, whatever. You know, if they'll listen and think logically, we go and play in warm weather and then come back and start playing, you know, when it's playable in Iowa. But there are kids that will just say, no, I just want that. That's what I want. And you're not going to talk them out of it. And they're not going to listen to any rational reasonings as to why. But yes, there are certain kids who will absolutely make it based on the weather. To me, you know, doing it as long as I have and having kids that played sports, who you play for is the most important thing, whether it's cold, warm, not so cold, nice facilities, bad facilities, whatever. The most important thing is who you play for. And, you know, we said it earlier, if after 2 weeks you find out that guy don't love you or care for you other than what you can do for him to win games, then you're not going to have fun regardless of where you're at, whether you're warm or cold.
Okay, that's an interesting answer. Coach Robinson, who is, you know, he's College World Series winning coach. He's assistant at Cal State Fullerton with Augie. He asked, what is the worst Big Ten travel trip?
Well, it could be any number of teams based on how the flights shake out. You know what I mean? Because for us, we have to go Vanderbilt, or not Vanderbilt, sorry. We have to go Rutgers, Maryland, and then Penn State. I would tell Penn State's the worst because you can't get into State College unless you charter. And there was a flight that went from Cedar Rapids to Detroit to State College when I first came to Iowa, and for whatever reason, the Cedar Rapids airport did away with it. So it's next to impossible to get into State College. So like this year, we had to fly to Pittsburgh and then drive, and it's not a short drive to get through the mountains to get to State College. And then we end up having to stay Sunday night and come back Monday morning and fly back out of Pittsburgh. So that trip is rough. There have been times though, like this year, we couldn't get home from USC. That's the problem, and why you'll see I like to play out west, but it's with how the airline industry has changed the flights. You used to be able to get a late flight back and be home for the kids to go to class on Monday morning. Now that last flight leaves at 2, unless you want to take a red eye, and then you don't end up getting back until 8:00 in the morning on Monday morning. So what do you do when you head out to the West Coast? If your school won't let you miss class on Monday, it makes it really difficult to get back. And then Washington, the trip to Washington was brutal. This past time, 2 years ago, we had to play at 11 a.m. to catch the only flight back. Then we had to fly to Chicago because we couldn't get into Cedar Rapids or Des Moines. We got to Chicago at midnight, had to unload the bags, bus picked us up, and then we rolled into Iowa City at 5:30 a.m. on Monday morning. And then that happened also a time when we went to Rutgers. But then you can catch it, and you might catch one where you can fly out at 7 and get back at a decent time. What we found in the last 5 years, you'll book your flights way early and you got, oh man, they're all perfect. And then the airline will call you like 3 weeks before you're supposed to fly and say, we're canceling that flight. And then they'll change it to a time when you can't take it because you won't be able to play the game.
Right.
And then you're back hunting 3 weeks before the season. So not being a charter sport like football and basketball, that's what makes them tough. If we could catch good flights, none of them are all that bad because we're kind of in the middle of the country. We don't have to do the coast to coast. But going west, the time change hurts us coming back with getting home at a decent time to go to class on Monday. So that's kind of all the travel issues rolled into one. But as far as adding the teams in the Big Ten, I mean, to me, I love it. I think it's made our league, so much better. And going out there for us, we would have to travel 4 weeks, 5 weeks anyway. And then the Big Ten started playing conference play week 4 when we used to play non-conference week 4 and 5. So we're really not traveling any more than we were before at Iowa anyway, if that makes any sense. So it didn't really hurt us from a travel situation. It just made it more challenging.
So, and I got one last question about the Big Ten. Brad is my witness. For about a period of 4 or 5 years, I would put in our baseball chat that, hey, I think Purdue is on to something. I think this is the year they make some noise. And it never pans out. They always end up bottom of the league. Last year, I finally got it right, and I said, Penn State's investing a lot of money. Watch out for Penn State this year. And sure enough, they go out, and they're scoring double-digit runs in 40 out of 50 games, right? They actually produced. Well, they fell on hard times this year, and then Purdue stepped up. What has to happen for teams like Iowa, Purdue this year that absolutely took UCLA to the absolute limit in the Big Ten tournament, or a Vanderbilt that they get left out of the tournament for teams that maybe didn't have as good a record or something of that nature, or to get some of these G5 teams in, like who was it that got left out? Campbell got left out this year. What has to happen to fix this tournament where the right teams are getting in?
Well, you have to revamp the RPI. I mean, it's simple as that. The RPI kills teams who are landlocked with who they can play. And Iowa, unfortunately, Terry, because Iowa State and you and I don't have teams, I don't have any good RPI teams within a drivable distance to play. I mean, it just, so what do? Do you not play games because it's going to hurt your RPI? When we all know that too much weight is given to teams that beat teams on Tuesday or Wednesday anyway. You see crazy upsets all the time. Certain teams, they get in the tournament every year because of their ability to win the games on Tuesday and Wednesday against really good teams. When all of us are just really trying to fight hard and get our pitchers work and get your young guys innings and whatever. There's just a lot of things that are really wrong. I mean, at Iowa, everything has to line up perfectly. I mean, we have to win all the games we're supposed to win. And then sometimes that don't even work, because the RPI is never going to reward a team like Iowa where we're at location wise. And then like Washington's in that boat. The California schools are in that boat too. I mean, if the local California schools aren't good, who are they going to play? They can't play anybody else in the midweek. You know what I'm saying? And I know when we were talking right after COVID, when we were trying to move the season back, one of the issues the California schools had, they didn't disagree that the season needed to move back. They said, if we move the season back, then we're going to lose all those teams coming out here that are good RPI games for us. And we're getting screwed over in the RPI and the NCAA tournament. We're getting good teams left out because we're landlocked and we have to play the teams we have to play until they change the RPI. Why would we vote to move the season back? Because it's going to keep those teams from coming out here. Mm-hmm. So they need to rework that, and they need to change it completely, because and then the other thing, we can talk till we're blue in the face, and the things I hit on would help a little bit, but until you move the season back and we don't have to go play the first 3 or 4 weeks at teams that are practicing outside since January, and we haven't been outside one day, and we're having to fly and travel, and our guys are getting beat up by the travel, and we're getting their officials, their umpires, all of that stuff. I mean, it's laid out for them to win all the games early, and then the RPI just builds. I mean, it's insanity. It would be like if college football said, all right, everybody north of the Mason-Dixon line can practice outside, but everybody south, you guys have to practice in a gym. And then, by the way, you have to open up with Michigan. You have to open up with Penn State. You got to open up with Iowa. And then you have to go back and practice in the gym till the temperatures drop enough that we feel like it's safe for you to go outside. Would that happen? I mean, that's what it is, and we let it happen. It's just insanity.
Listen, I've seen where we haven't had a home game until April, and it's just like, what? Like, you're 2 months into the season already, and you haven't even played a home game. It's crazy.
No, I mean, no, it's crazy. And then one year we were 19-2, best start in school history, and it just happened to be the year that our women's basketball team was playing in the national championship game. I mean, nobody even knew we were playing, which they shouldn't, because we don't market our sport properly. We need to be marketing our sport when baseball starts. We're the only major sport that doesn't market it with the start of the football season or the basketball season. And if we did, I mean, just think of the money and just think of the interest. I mean, it's already a great game, and it's already as good as it's ever been, especially late in the year. But just think of all the money the Southern schools would make too, because nobody's going to those games when basketball's going on, wrestling tournament, women's basketball, all that stuff's going on. We should be training and giving our guys enough time to ramp up properly, and all the things that a baseball team should be doing to get ready to start in late March when baseball starts. If we marketed our game at the start of the Major League season, it'd be the best thing we could ever do.
Yep.
Definitely agree with that. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on.
All right.
I'm gonna give you the floor for just a minute to give out any shout outs that you want to give out. To name where people can find you on social media, those kinds of things. So at this time, take it away, Coach. Shout out your people and your social medias.
No, I just really appreciate you guys having me on. And social media, that's a good question. I'm on Instagram and I'm on X, but I don't even know. I'm not hard to find, so you just type my name in there, and I'm thinking you can find me exactly what it is. And then follow the Iowa stuff on social media is really well done and outstanding. They put a lot of good content out there, and just I don't know if I have any shout outs or not. I'm just happy that we're getting close to starting a new season. Can't wait to get our guys on campus, see all the new faces, and we got a new pitching coach this year, and we got a new strength coach. Get them acclimated and get things going, and just a lot of super positives with the stadium being done and the Field of Dream game. It's just going to be a really fun fall. And then being a guy that played football and coached football at Upper Iowa for 10 years, I'm always excited to see Coach Ferentz's guys get going and start playing a lot of home games. And so the fall's a great time, and I'm really pumped and looking forward to it.
Yeah, Coach,
So for
appreciate
those
you,
that
man.
want to follow Coach on X, I just looked it up because I do follow him. It's at rheller21 on X.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. But I thank you, Coach. Also, usually I say ask for a couple minutes of your time, but you gave us plenty, so I'll just shoot you a text. I won't keep you around waiting. Whenever we wrap things up. So yeah, I'll just shoot you a text from my Texas number here, and then I thank you enough. I was certainly honored to have you on. Get my increase, my baseball knowledge, and just to get to know all these coaches, kind of slightly on a personal level, like with their lighter side in their life, and I can't thank you enough.
All right.
So just a heads up, Coach. I'm going to let you know real quick. Brad does a lot of stuff in football. He does his own show, the Hawkoholics. They're going to be having a tailgate at Iowa City. Brad, give them the details. Maybe you can work something out where you guys can hook up or something.
Hey, yeah, man. We'll be at it's called Hawks to Go. So I don't know if you've been to the trailer. A guy named Moose. They do.
Tell me what location.
It's it's in catty corner from the stadium. They do the shots
because I'm usually. I mean, we have recruits. We have recruits every weekend, pretty much. So I think there's only been in 13 years I've been to 4 games that we didn't have a recruit at. So I see all the guys between Carver, where I park, and my building, where the baseball field is. So I got, I know a bunch of the guys as I walk there, and then randomly I'll get over to that parking lot straight west of the press box, the main stadium. But I don't get much further than that on game day.
It's on Golf View, so it's like right 120 Golf View.
Golf View.
Like,
is it right there?
Yeah, like right there. You can see the back of the press box and stuff, and we just kind of walk around, and we're right there by the Kinnick statue.
Oh, okay, perfect. I know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, we do that, and they do shots for the kids, and they donate the money to the hospital, and we'll have a few of the old players with us, and we did it last year. It was a lot of fun. So you're more than welcome to come on by.
What game?
Ohio State.
Okay.
Yep. So we're gonna do a big one there. We had Big Ten Network there last year for it, so we'll hopefully get them in there again.
All right.
See, we're working out details, right?
You're more than welcome.
Yeah. Well, the last time they were there, it came out our way pretty good.
Yeah, I did. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun one, man.
I keep getting reminded of that because I was telling them in a private chat that I don't know that Iowa can beat Ohio State right now. That program is just on another level. And they said, yeah, remember what happened last time they came to Iowa City? They remind me all the time of that.
Never forget, baby.
That was a all-time great beatdown.
It was.
Yep.
It was an honor, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right,
sir.
guys.
Appreciate you.
You guys have a good one. Thank you, guys.
You too.
Appreciate
Go
it.
Hawks.
Thank you, Coach.
Go Hawks.
So, should we go over our housekeeping notes?
Yes, sir.
Terry looks confused.
That was fun, gentlemen.
So-
Thanks for having me. Appreciate that.
We have a major announcement to make tonight. I think Brad might know this, but I'm not sure. Tonight, our interview with Coach Heller is the last official Golden Broom podcast.
The end of an era.
We will be changing our name. You can still find us in the same locations. All we're doing is changing the name. It's going to be called Sports Empire.
If you
And part of
remove
the
us from
reason-
the studio, you'll see the logo.
And part of this is the Golden Broom, when it was founded, is something of that me and Cody did. It was our show. Cody's no longer with us. Terry has taken his place. So we need our own identity, and it's time to revamp. So we came up with Sports Empire. It's not going to be baseball niche like the Broom was. We're going to cover all sports, whether it's baseball, football, soccer, golf. Terry's working on one of the best golf coaches in the country right now, trying to get him on. We're going to cover all sports. That name change officially takes place on August the 1st. And like I said, we're going to keep the same socials. We're just changing our name. So you'll be able to find us under Sports Empire going forward. Our next show, next Sunday night, will be under the Sports Empire umbrella. So that's the major announcement. Do you have anything else, Terry?
Yeah, so for our first interview in the new era, we're actually going to dip into the world of football. And I believe this college is out of Tennessee, Lane College,
Yes, sir.
correct? So for Lane College, we got head coach Stanley Connor, who will join us for the very first episode of Sports Empire.
Excited
Now,
for you guys.
for this coming Wednesday for my show, Terrible Talk Sports, I have the honor, and I'm thankful, and shout out to Kentucky State football head coach Felton Huggins for this. But next week, I will be welcoming to the show former Kentucky Wildcat coach Hal Mummy. Now, if that name sounds familiar to some of you guys, he's been credited for inventing the air raid offense and one of the, godfathers of it. And he has a pretty good coaching tree. One of the people he used to coach over, rest in peace, is Mike Leach. So I'll be having him on this coming Wednesday, 7:30 Central. So just keep an eye on the socials. And if you want to follow me on X, I have my profile listed right there, Terrible Terry 83. I don't know if you want to give we have the same socials for the 100 and some people watching. If you haven't followed us, follow me on X. Chris, if you want to mention, you should keep in the social the same. If you want to mention the Golden Broom, and Brad as well, if you're, wanting to mention your podcast, go ahead. And
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, the Golden Broom podcast is on Twitter. It's going to change names to Sports Empire Podcast. That's where you'll be able to find us. Our Facebook is going to undergo the same change. It'll go from the Golden Broom Pod to Sports Empire Pod. YouTube will go under the same change. Me personally, you can find me at Bandy Backers, as in, like, instead of a linebacker, I'm a Bandy Backer. That's my Twitter handle. That's the main account that I run. And Brad, tell us the updates on Hawkoholics. What are you going to do this year, and where can they find you?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thanks, gentlemen, for having me. That was awesome. obviously running a Hawkeye podcast. That's been a man I've been wanting to chat with for a while, and he was phenomenal. He didn't disappoint. So, but yeah, man, well, you can find us we're only on Facebook and X right now. Obviously, we'll transition as we grow, but on X, we are Hawkoholic 319. If you want to give us a follow there, and then just on the Facebook, it's just going to be the Hawkoholics. So we're about to kick off season 3. We're excited. We got some guests already lined up, some former players, and then we already touched on it with Coach. We're going to have a pretty big tailgate show again out at Ohio State versus Iowa game at the Hawks to Go tailgate. It was pretty awesome last year. Had a bunch of the 2015 Iowa Hawkeye football team there, and they're going to be joining us again, and it's just going to be a reoccurring thing. So we're about to kick this season off, and tune in to see where we got Iowa going, because I think some people will be shocked at what we have to say about them this year. So I know Chris might.
I'm never shocked by what you guys have picked for them to do.
Never said it until this year. You'll have to tune in.
Oh, wow. That's going to be wild.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, are all hearts and minds clear?
Feeling good. Time to feel my belly now.
That sounds good. That's actually what I'm fixing to be doing. But until then, we'll see you next Sunday night. Same
Absolutely.
Great time, 6 p.m. Sunday night. Same great place, except for the name will be different. It'll say Sports Empire Podcast. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Until then, y'all rest easy. Have a great week. And I'm on my way to the couch.
On the diamond where they play, sweeping competition every day.